Hello, Western Civ. I'm back, sort of. Whew, man, this bronchitis mess was killing a brother. I am messed up. This thing just took over my life. I have to move by the end of the month, and as you can see, I haven't even started anything on it. I got a lot of stuff to do. So I understand a lot of you have had to deal with a lot of unexpected things as well. So may we all hang in there and talk about medieval plagues. Whew, I have no sympathy. I mean, I have tons of sympathy, should I say, with thinking about the Middle Ages and the actual plague. Oh man! But anyhow, I think you guys have been keeping up really well, and being sick, I did have enough energy to kind of keep on top of grading. So that's a positive aspect of it, at least for this class. Please always continue to contact me if you have questions or issues with anything. And so I just, you're gonna really like this damsel video. And to clarify, and by the way, anybody who asks me this and doesn't watch this, that means they did not watch my announcement first, and I'm not. Well, I'm just not going to respond. But you won't know that because you didn't watch this announcement. You do not have to write notes on the damsel video. You do have to write on it in the paper. Okay, so that's it. Clarify that on that. Sunday paper is what I'm talking about. Okay, and so I just want to again say it was really exciting. A lot of you showed an extreme interest in the Vikings and Nordic culture, and I hope you got a chance to look at, or will get a chance to watch those videos on the Icelandic sagas that I also posted, and the Beowulf documentary. Very fascinating. I also want to point out something as well, and some of you talked about this. The Vikings were controversial in that they were raiders. They were like pirates, and they did a lot of things that were sometimes bad. Sometimes romanticizing them is a little bit, some could say a little bit perverse in the sense that like they weren't exactly doing nice things to people. But I think from the bird's eye point of view that we look at as historians and those of us from in the distance, we look at all of societies during this time as being pretty violent and pretty harsh. And we're now able to see a lot more positive aspects of the legacies of the Vikings than we did maybe even in the past. And like Charlemagne, I mean, Charlemagne did things straight up like ISIS, like as in the Islamic extremist group that, destroys buildings and forces people to do certain things. I mean, that's what, destroying ancient sites and destroying other people's sacred places and making only one version that would be acceptable to worship to follow. Charlemagne was like that. But Charlemagne also built things. He didn't just tear down. And maybe that's why he gets this kind of pass from us, right? Now, is that a right thing to do or a wrong thing to do? I don't know. We do it. And when you look at these historical figures and characters, I think it's fair to say that as we move away from being people who are directly affected by some of the consequences that rulers and regimes did, and you can see their positive and negative effects more acutely maybe, I think it's fair to kind of say, okay, this legacy that they did sticks, right? And so the Vikings definitely, for example, also helped shape modern Europe and affected them in a lot of ways that, even if it wasn't what you could directly call good, it wasn't necessarily bad. And that we are all, even our language, so many things is influenced by them. And here's the other side of it. Not everybody who was Nordic or Scandinavian, that was Norse, was necessarily Viking. So my ancestors, I have a Swedish side. And if you look in the Eddas, and those are important texts that I hope you get a chance to look at, they had the caste system, right? And there was the thralls. Thralls were the slaves. My ancestors could have been slaves. I could have been a slave of a Viking instead of a Viking. I was still a part of that Viking culture or that Norse culture, or it could have been something different, right? It's a very fascinating thing to me. I'm very obsessed with the topic. Now, if you look online on the internet, there really is a lot of non-scholarly stuff about the Vikings as well and Norse mythology that you should be careful of. That professor I posted on one of my announcements, Dr. Jackson Crawford, I discovered him after I made these lectures, and he's really good. I mean, really good. He's very scholarly. He covers a lot of topics. It might be a little bit odd watching him. He's a really hardcore, like, cowboy guy that is a massive genius of everything Scandinavian, Germanic, Indo-European, like the Norse. It's kind of scary. You should just watch all of his videos. He teaches at the University of Colorado. He was at Berkeley, and then before that, I think at UCLA. I think he even did some work on the movie Frozen, by the way, like for the runes. I think he was consulted for that, so that's kind of funny. I just want to make a quick note as well. Brown, she made, in her book, Song of the Vikings, she makes it the prose edda more important. Dr. Jackson Crawford basically says that the poetic edda has the oldest sources and is the most important for Norse mythology. So they have a like a little bit different of an opinion. I sided with the Brown argument in my lectures before I really had a chance to think about it. I'm thinking that we should defer to Crawford. I mean, it's 100% fact. I think there's no question that the oldest poems are in the Poetic Edda. Just the question of what is more important to contributing to the idea, was it the Prose Edda or the Poetic? I will say this, if you're going to read out of the Eddas, the Prose Edda by Snorri Sturluson is much more readable, and that's a good place to start, so I just wanted to say that. Okay, and I'm just going to recommend this book. I bought this. It's not real cheap. I swear I spent $25 on it. Norse Mythology, A Guide to Gods, Heroes, Rituals, and Beliefs. And this is very scholarly. This isn't conspiracy theory stuff or using weak, some. And then, lastly, don't forget, the neo-Nazis and white nationalists are all over Viking stuff and Germanic stuff. They're just all over it. And they're so into it, and you just got to be aware of that. I'm not here to tell anybody what politics to do or not do, but I'm just letting you know that if you don't want to be affiliated with those groups and you have some issues with it, just be careful if you start floating around, Viking circles. Okay, just saying. Here is another interesting work. Now, Beowulf, this is the best translation, I think, most readable. Seamus Heaney was an Irish poet. Great poet, and he does this translation. So I think that's all I really have to say. Please contact me if you have anything else to ask or go over. Don't forget to text me if I don't get a chance to call you back. And may we all be well, and we'll be in touch.